These are things I wish I was told when I lost my dream and was stuck in a dark place of identity loss. I trained for years to become a black belt world champion, but when I lost passion for that dream, it just completely shattered me. Couldn't find a solution that helped me specifically with the challenges I was dealing with. Because of that, I had to create one, and I call that the Rule of Three method. Now I teach individuals just like you my method to rebuild purpose back into your life after a lost dream, heal and reclaim your identity to live a life that feels true to who you are. Your meaning to life is not your titles, awards, money, because if they were, then all would be fine. But you find that no matter how much you acquire, it just does not make you feel fulfilled. When I was competing and I was winning medals, it wasn't that I wasn't doing well, but what happened is the motivations that made me do it were for different reasons. And those different reasons after a while started to just wear out my spirit. And so as time went on, eventually winning and losing, it just didn't even feel right anymore. I didn't really care anymore. I didn't even care about the process of training and doing all these things. I was sort of just in this autopilot state. For too long, I was trying to perform and be something for somebody else. At a certain point, I just snapped and said, I just can't do this anymore. This is why leading with only your ego as your main way of experiencing life is going to lead to the inevitable protection of it. Then, life no longer becomes about expansion, but rather the preservation of the status quo. And just as an example, the status quo can be that no matter what, you must always look smart to the people around you. Because maybe when you were younger, you had raised your hand in class to answer a question that you genuinely thought you had the right answer for. But unfortunately, you were only met with the laughter of all your peers. Now, let's say this is the first of many memories that have left you in such pain that now you must present yourself as someone who knows all and avoids being wrong like the plague. It's not about removing ego altogether, but rather bringing it in harmony with the self, your soul. With a cooperative back and forth communication with the ego and the soul, you will find that problems turn to challenges, setbacks will turn to opportunities, and calmness will reside in you that you haven't had in a long time, if not ever. Your soul is the inner world that you inhabit when you're typically alone, stripped away from titles, status, and expectations. Now, you've had this stronger bond to this place when you were a child, and it was here that your belief in one's own value is essentially eternal. Think about the rough times in your life and how no matter how bad things get, when you reside into this inner world, there's this voice that speaks to you or this energy that comes to you, and it somehow manages to pull you out of that misery and continues to move you forward to a better life. For me, it's a voice, sometimes a feeling, and it's been with me ever since I was a little kid. This dark place you're inhabiting now is gearing you up for the next adventure, although it may not seem that way right now. And it's really hard to piece together in the moment, but when you reflect on old memories and similar situations in the past, doesn't there seem to be almost like this coincidence to them? That almost as if they played out that way because it had to, leading you to where you are now. Another step forward towards the rekindling of the self and the slow but hopeful day the ego can abandon the performer and make way for the you that wants to live and thrive. Your purpose in life as a starting point is to try to bring the self into the foreground as much as possible. Just imagine your potential if that were the case. It is almost unimaginable. And no amount of titles and money can make you genuinely complete without this integral part of your being. Now, the way you could start this connection to come back again is through the process of diving deep into old memories, often called shadow work. Usually you want to dive into the areas of when you were a child and had no expectations placed onto you, and you're just happy to be alive and experiencing things for the first time. Now, what that looks like is different for everyone. For me, it was spending time outside in my own thoughts, playing with rocks and sticks and whatever captured my attention. And I personified a lot of my toys as an only child, and so that was a way for me to immerse myself in the experience, bringing that inner world and manifesting it into reality. In other words, what spirit were you in during that time, and try to jump back into that space and bring it into the adult life that you have right now. Unless you find your identity again, the next shiny object will not make things better. I know that from personal pain. It will only confuse you and further build the ego's protection mechanism. Now, it's important for me to say that, this is, of course, a difficult thing, because as adults, we have responsibilities that we can't just abandon and need to work with in cooperation with our regular life. This is why having a community that is like-minded and has a common goal can really help smooth this whole thing over. You are not alone. I started this community because during my own journey, I struggled to find both a supportive community and the specific guidance I needed during that time of my identity loss. So if this resonated with you and you're ready to discover a new purpose that aligns more with who you are now and not who you were before, because it's an old story you're tired of, through my monthly newsletter, you're going to receive my complete method for free, helping you build purpose again, reconnecting you with that authentic self, and uncover your core values and strengths and visions for the next chapter of your life. And to finally start living in alignment with who you truly are, and slowly just dropping the act. By being part of the newsletter, you'll also be the first to know when my one-on-one coaching spots have availability. And this is for those who are looking for more deeper help and want me to run them through my method personally.